Good afternoon and welcome to the Fitchburg Historical Commission's March 30th, 2023 meeting. I will call this the meeting to order. First thing on our agenda, and I believe the agenda is showing in my presentation, is public comment period. I don't believe we have anyone present that wants to make a public comment. Hearing none, we'll move forward. We do have a quorum. Members present are Sam Blair by phone, Don Ostrowski, Andy Lepasti, and Ellen DiGeronimo. Those last three are present on site. We have two guests with us. Mark Dohan from New View and Steve Cook from New View Communities. We'll be making a presentation. What I'm going to do to kind of help speed along, Mark and Steve, your presentation, do you want to wait until Maureen signs in, or what's your schedule like, so we can not keep you on too long if you would like to leave later?
I'm good either way, Mark. Do you feel strongly that Maureen should be here? Whatever you want to do.
I just texted. Can you guys hear me? I'm in the airport in Washington, so I just texted Maureen and see if she could join. So if you want to, what's your schedule, Keith?
Okay. We'll go ahead with a few minor things that we have on the agenda, and when Maureen shows up, perhaps we can move forward then. So.
Sounds good.
And she may not make it, in which case we're all ready to go. So
okay.
We can do it too.
Yeah, we had talked about around 3:30, so we're not quite there yet. So, all right. At the moment, we have no public comment. Item number 2 on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes for the February 23rd, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minute?
The February 23rd meeting.
I second the motion.
Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Objections, abstentions. The motion moves to approve last month's minutes. Number 3, Freedom's Way Hidden Treasure list and host event. This is something that Andy has contacted the Historical Society to see if they would like to work with us on this or partner with us on this. And maybe, Andy, if you could give a quick update on that.
Okay. I have been talking with Susan Navarre about this project and looking at, she wanted to select May 20th as a date. It's a Saturday. And to do a presentation, I believe, outdoors at Monument Park and at Upper Common, doing a talk, which will include Susan and Keith. That might just run for an hour or two, and also to have the Historical Society open that day on Saturday from, I believe, 11 to 3, 4-hour window. And I was going to be present at the Society building, and also looking to develop a handout which would have pictures and brief descriptions of our monuments in town, specifically the war monuments, Civil War, World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam. And also I think we're going to be developing a map to have in that handout. No, Keith, if you were helping on that map.
Yes, Susan and Andy contacted me also to what we can do as kind of a supplement piece is that as Susan and Andy are kind of walking about the Upper Common. I think probably be meeting at the Historical Society on the main floor to start out with, walk across to the Upper Common, pointing out the various monuments, specifically ones that are along Main Street, and particularly Upper Common and Monument Park area, although there's many monuments across the city, but kind of focusing on these, giving some brief history on them, perhaps also including some of the other artworks, et cetera, like the boys playing with turtles fountain at the head of the common. And as we are kind of looking at this, Susan had asked me if I would maybe kind of bring into context some of the architecture kind of surrounding the Upper Common. And when we move to the Monument Park area, be able to kind of supplement kind of the time periods of when the monuments were erected, along with some of the history of the city and some of the architectural landmarks that are in those, specifically those two areas. I said I would kind of help make a little map of those two areas of the city, that perhaps I work with you, Andy, and kind of locating the monuments on those also, and we can put letters and numbers on the various things, and perhaps have a little printout, a sheet or two that kind of lists these things for anyone that's curious about it as we're kind of moving between one site and the other, walking down Main Street to pointing out some of the city's physical architectural leftovers in the city, and just to allow some context, I guess. So that is for the 20th. I believe Susan said that the city is sponsoring the food truck festival for starting at noon. I believe that's in what's the park name off of Boulder Drive?
Riverfront.
Yes, Riverfront Park. I believe that's where the food truck festival is going to be, for lots of sampling. So we're kind of tying it in. We are doing this in roughly an hour ahead of time, and we can encourage people that do attend our event to obviously go on down to the food truck event also. And I believe we get some coverage in the Freedom's Trail literature, et cetera. So people from outside of town and in town will also be aware of this. Any other ways of kind of, I think maybe can be added to the website for Historical Society. I'm not sure we can add it to our website, but anyways, we could get the word out to for people to get a little bit more understanding of our Fitchburg's heritage. That would be great.
Keith, perhaps we'll have our brochure ready that shows the 6 historic.
Yeah, I think that's probably wishful thinking at this time, but we'll cover that in a little bit more. We were hoping to, and we're just kind of running a little behind on our getting that produced and the final versions of it out. But it would be nice if we had it done.
I think, Susan will probably get this info posted in her general email she sends out from the society. I don't know if she's going to get it in the next newsletter, which is... Yeah,
perhaps maybe if you are going to be meeting with Susan next week or whenever, is there a city calendar, events, things like that? We can get that listed on there. I'm not sure if that's a publicly posted thing that people check or not, with the time and location and things like that too. So,
see who sets that up, who runs that.
Yep, if there is such a thing, maybe, I don't know, maybe something like I can show up on an FATV calendar or something too, of local events. We should pursue how we can advertise these things. So sounds good. Any other thoughts, comments on Freedom's Way Hidden Treasures? Okay, next item, number 4, update on Monument Park. Last month we had talked about that we had been in contact, at least by email, with the Department of Public Works and the Parks and Recreation Commissioner or Director. I've offered to perhaps join one of their Parks Commission meetings to kind of review it with their board or their Board of Commissioners. I have not heard anything back, and I haven't had the time to check back on that. So that is pending and kind of an ongoing piece. Something we definitely want to make sure that there's some follow-up on that. Number 5, and let's see here. Update on BF Brown. And I guess Maureen has not joined us yet.
No, Maureen is on. We're all here, Keith.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay, sorry, not showing up yet. Welcome, Maureen. Why don't we go ahead with that and turn it over to New View Communities and an update on the BF Brown projects, I guess, and the Academy Street Educational District National Register application. So Mark, take it away.
Yep. So thank you for having us here today. I'm joining you from Washington National Airport, where I am getting ready to head home after a wonderful warm visit in Washington. So had a great conference here and was able to meet with our representatives and go to a nice conference. So I just want to start off by just thanking the Historical Commission for all your support over the years for all the projects that we've done, starting with 470 Main Street. And we're now on to our second historical project in Fitchburg, but we've done 2 other projects. So we're getting pretty good at this stuff. But your support really makes a difference. The support letters are critical for our state and for our federal awards, and also just to have the general support of the community. It is really important for us to have the wind at our back. So we're really appreciative of that. We've been working on this project for a very long time. We had our doubts, particularly after the fire, whether we would still have a project. So thanks to a lot of work from staff and Maureen, we were able to demonstrate that the project still had historical value after that fire, which was really, really critical for this project to move forward. And we're getting very close to going into construction. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and he'll take you through. We have a little presentation so we can show you where everything is, and then we're happy to take questions. So the New View team is myself, Steve Cook, Ann Reitmeyer, and Maureen Kavanaugh is our historic consultant, and we asked Maureen if she would join today in case there's some technical questions. And she always likes to hear what's going on in Fitchburg too.
Great. So Keith, if I can share my screen, if you take your sharing down, because I have some images that some renderings of the site and so forth. So I will start to share. Hopefully this works. Can people see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Mark said, we've been working on this project for a long time, over 10 years. And, it will involve redevelopment and reuse of the BF Brown School, the former City Stables building and the former Fitchburg High School Annex building, all located at 62 and 82 Academy Street. This will preserve these 3 historic buildings for a long time. It's going to generate 68 residential apartments in the 3 buildings. This development will also include artist studio space, artist workspace, artist gallery space, and other community space. So our vision for this project is artist preference housing. So, we really want to, encourage artists to live here. It's, as everybody knows, it's across the street from the Fitchburg Art Museum, and they're a partner of ours in this project to help us attract artists once we, build the apartments. It's going to be, a mix of income levels. So the 68 apartments, are going to be available to people earning anywhere from 30% of area median income to up to 100 to 110% of median income. So there's going to be a wide mix of incomes that, people will be able to live there and afford to live there. As Mark said, and Maureen can chime in a little bit, but the draft Academy Street Educational Historic District National Register nomination is currently under review by the Mass Historic Commission. And Maureen, I don't know if you want to say any more about that and about that process, but I know it is in review, as we speak.
Sure. I'll just remind everyone or let you know that in 2013, Turk Tracy Larry did a draft National Register nomination, and that was submitted to the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and comments were received in 2014. And so what we submitted was a revised draft that addressed all of the MHC's comments and also sort of brought it up to speed on what's happened over the past 10 years. So we're hoping MHC will review it in a more timely fashion than they might a new nomination. So we're tracking that.
Great. So I'm going to scroll through. So this is an aerial view of the site. The main B.F. Brown School is here. The Art Museum is across the street. The City Stables building is here where my cursor is, and then the Annex building is across the street. There'll be parking around the Annex and to the rear of the B.F. Brown School. This is an image looking from Academy Street and towards Elm Street. So this is the edge of the Historical Museum. This is an image looking down from High Street. There's a large retaining wall there. So this shows what the site will look like with parking at the rear and the City Stables building being preserved. These plans are hard to see, but they're important in that this is the B.F. Brown School is going to contain most of the non-residential space. So artist amenities, artist workspace, community rooms, and alike. So most of our projects have on-site property management office, and this will as well. The light blue area is the property management office. And then there's community room space. I'm going to scroll down to the next screen. The former auditorium of the school is going to be a large open studio space where artists can do their work. It's going to have the former stage is going to be a sound studio. So the bulk of the artist sort of community space is going to be in the former auditorium, but there's still other spaces. The lobby of the auditorium is going to be kind of gallery space, and that's going to be preserved. I'm going to scroll down. This is an artist, or an architect's rendering of the auditorium with the high windows. So this is going to basically be wide open space that artists can do their work in. The balcony of the former balcony of the auditorium is also going to be artist workspace and gallery space. This is the lobby to the auditorium and the former gymnasium. And if you were to come in the door coming off of Academy Street, this is the lobby area. So we envision this, these doors that are closed here are the entrance into the auditorium. But this could be, a space where, small performances could happen. It's fairly large space. And I think those are all of my slides. The other thing, as Mark said, the support from the Fitchburg Historical Commission is so important. This project, has your support as well as support from, City Council, Mayor, from Fitchburg, and, it has statewide support as well. So, that's really important. This project is relying on historic tax credits, both state and federal, to help finance it. And it's providing a very large percentage of the equity for this project. So to date, we've received $5.3 million in state historic tax credits. We anticipate a total allocation of about $7.8 million in state historic tax credits and $7.7 million in federal historic tax credits. So that's a large percentage of the equity and financing for this project. The total project is about $45 million. So it's a very significant project, and these historic tax credits are really critical to making this project happen. As Mark said, we are very close to getting a shovel in the ground and starting work here. We are pushing really hard to close on all of the financing for this project, the construction loan, the state funding that's being provided by DHCD, the low-income housing tax credit funding. So we are hoping to close on all of that financing towards the end of April. So, we will see, construction starting in May, and this project will be completed the end of December of 2024. So it's definitely a reality at this point, and it's so exciting to be this close to, starting construction on something that we've been working on for 10 years. So I'll stop there, and if people have questions or comments, we're happy to field them.
Does the project include the steps in front of the high school?
This project does not, but the historic district, the Academy Street Educational Historic District does include the steps going up to the former high school. Maureen, does it also include the high school?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it includes the 3 buildings that are part of Fitchburg Arts Community. And I'm trying to remember what else that it includes.
I should know that off the top of my head, but give me a minute.
Yeah.
I think does it include the High Street retaining wall also?
It's definitely in the boundary. Let me see. Let me look at the district data sheet in the map. Hold on. Where is it? So it includes the 2 schools, but yes, it includes the retaining wall and the park behind BF Brown, because that was historically associated with the school. Okay. And the stairs and actually, can I share my screen? I'll show you them. Let me see.
I'll stop sharing.
I'll share my screen. Okay, share. There, can you see that? That's the boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, there we go.
There we go.
So you see, there's this, you can see the stairs are sort of here. That's
Yeah.
sort of there. There's the school. The annex, Fitchburg, the stable, BF Brown, and then the park.
It doesn't seem to include the parking that's related to the Academy Street School.
Is that across the street?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, that is not part of our project, but it is part of that's a city-owned lot, I believe, and is used by the middle school.
No building on it at this time.
Correct, right.
It was just parking for that school. At one time, there was another school there and it was torn down. When they, merged the old Academy Street School with the original high school. And they demolished a former school and made that into a parking lot to accommodate, actually both schools.
Yeah.
typically National Register boundaries don't include vacant parcels unless they're sort of in between two things. So the boundary wouldn't go and capture that.
We have been in contact with the group that's proposing the Upper Common National Register Historic District that almost touches your district. It includes the new post office building, obviously the Upper Common building, the church at the head of the common, other churches, and kind of down to I think a lot of it being proposed by the new theater restoration group through the Fitchburg State, and goes down and currently in their proposal to Newton Place, which includes the Fitchburg Public Library and the Fay Club, et cetera, and Lucy's Barn. What kind of putting your historic district and the Upper Common Historic District, both of them in kind of proposal form, what seems to be very missing is the Fitchburg Art Museum that's kind of sandwiched between the two proposed districts, but not included in either one of them. And it, from kind of maybe from our viewpoint, the Historical Commission, it seems as though it'd be good if the Art Museum complex was included in one or the other because of its importance, and certainly historic buildings and cultural asset to the city. And Ellen and I have been discussing that, well, it's certainly an educational institution, thinking that, and it really kind of part of your partnership also, that it might possibly and maybe should be included with the educational district. It would be, I think, unfortunate that it's not claimed by either one of the current parties that are proposing historic districts, and it becomes kind of the void between these two very large districts that are being proposed. And wondering if you would consider it, and your thoughts of Mass Historical Commissions and National Register people thinking of including it. And we haven't talked to the Art Museum about this either, but there's certainly, I think it would only be beneficial to them. I don't think there would be any negatives for the museum to be part of perhaps your proposed district.
Excuse me, Keith, I'm sorry. Historically, the Art Museum has at different times been part of the school district. It isn't currently, but when B.F. Brown was fully active. At one point, the art museum also offered space for educational reasons. But it's a wonderful building. It's in the H.M. Francis Historic District. So that means that Henry Francis had something to do with the building.
Yeah, where the H.M. Francis overlay
Yeah.
survey. It's not a historic district, but
I was just,
Right.
sorry.
So I also worked on the HM Francis thematic nomination that allowed for New Views office building at 470 Main to be listed. A few things that I'd forgotten that the art museum was in that. So in terms of this museum or this district, it's an educational district, and it could be that we could, come up with a revised historic context and statement of significance that could include the museum. But given that this went to the MHC in 2013, they commented in 2014, and we got it back to them in 2023. I would recommend that this district move ahead, especially given the time constraints or requirements for them needing to be listed for the federal historic tax credits.
yeah, and perhaps you're suggesting perhaps as an amendment in the future.
It could be an amendment, but
or expansion.
if it is part of the, not if it is, given that it's part of the H.M. Francis thematic district, that was sort of a thematic district, and then properties could opt in. So if Rollstone Church wanted to get listed, it could opt in, and it just requires writing an individual nomination. So the museum, the easier path would be to have the museum get listed through the H.M. Francis district. But I would recommend revisiting the Fitchburg Art Museum in the future.
Okay.
Because
All right.
MHC, you probably are familiar with the NR process, but they take a very long time to review things. And
Yep.
if we said, oh, we want to edit it now or amend it, it could add years, literally.
Yeah, it could slow your financing down
Yeah.
and your whole project down. So that's very understandable. And other comments from other commission members?
I just wanted to add a comment that the Fitchburg High School Vocational School was in the art museum buildings themselves. So it was an academic institution there.
Wow.
It was, just as a note. And I do have a question. The city stable and the annex school building, those will get remodeled too, both of those? See some remodeling going on?
Yes, absolutely. So there are going to be apartments in both of those buildings as well. So those will be completely renovated. Yeah.
So will that all be, I don't want to use the term homogeneous, but will it be of the same type, or will there be differences according to the types of the different buildings themselves?
No, it'll be all sort of one campus. So, folks that live in, any of the buildings, will, have access to, the artist workspace and studio space that's within the B.F. Brown School.
Okay, so it'll be part of the same complex.
Yes. Yep.
Maybe a question on preservation of the architectural elements of each of the three buildings. Can you give just kind of an idea of what your architects and designers are doing? I think there's probably some detail that's missing, like from the Academy Street School. Maybe some brackets or missing things. Are they replicating or et cetera?
Yeah, so a lot of those brackets have deteriorated, but those will all be replicated and reinstalled. All of the interior, trim and woodwork in the B.F. Brown School will will be preserved or replicated in kind. You know, there's been some deterioration of items because of the fire and just weather over years, but you know, all of the woodwork and casework in the B.F. Brown School will definitely be you know, preserved. You know, the windows will be historic windows that match the existing windows. You know, the slate roofs on the two of the buildings are going to remain slate. You know, so most of the, you know, both exterior detail and a lot of the interior detail is going to be preserved or replicated. And, you know, in all of the buildings, you know, with the exception of the stables, but in the two school buildings, you know, basically each apartment will be contained in a classroom or multiple classrooms. So the look and feel will still feel like it was a school. You know, the corridors are, you know, being maintained, same with, you know, entrances into the classrooms. The historic entrances will be preserved. You know, chair rail, chalkboards, that kind of stuff are all going to be preserved. You know, within the classroom building. You know, the two school buildings.
I don't know if you have had this information before, but the former Academy Street School was the location for to be the focus of art in the city school system, and their main office was in that building. That included that building and B.F. Brown. And also, I think the art museum was somehow involved. But if it would be helpful, I could try and get the, you know, the explanation of the use of the building for you.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was, you know, a art focused school. That's very interesting.
I'll get that for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
I don't suppose any of the tin ceilings have been maintained.
So in the so there's a lot of tin ceilings in the Academy Street School, and those are going to be in many places. Those are going to be preserved or replicated to remain. So in some places they are not, because we've got places where you know, ceilings have to be lowered for HVAC equipment and alike, but there's quite a bit of tin ceiling that is going to be preserved and or replicated in the Academy Street School.
That is, thank you for the presentation. Any other questions? Members present. I think, you know, certainly recognizing this whole area, certainly your project with the 3 buildings and the creation of the educational district, the Academy Street Educational District, helps kind of bring additional focus down to what's now the Longshore School, the junior high school, I guess it is, and the Wallace Way steps, which are in general in fairly decent shape. And talking with one of the school personnel there just a month ago or whatever, saying that, you know, the students there do use the stairs and they cascade down to Main Street. I have come across some old images of when it really had some very elegant cast iron street lighting as part of the 2 granite railings running down along the runs of the stairways. Quite elegant white globes of, you know, probably over a dozen globes on top of each of the ornately decorated light fixtures that were part of that. And talking with Susan Navarre of kind of the donors of the day, the Wallaces and the Crockers that were doing that. And maybe Maureen, you can have some knowledge of this or not, but Susan Navarre from the Historical Society was kind of equating a lot of this to the City Beautiful movement that was kind of happening after the Chicago World's Fair of the 1896, I think it was, the Great White City in Chicago. And a lot of civic leaders and things that visited the fair, which was quite a success. Everything painted white, and that's when we started painting all of our gorgeous older buildings white, I think, because people coming back from the fair. But a lot of civic leaders and our industrial leaders that had the cash on hand, perhaps, were doing things to make their own local cities being more gracious and public and Beaux-Arts designed with lots of formal outside spaces, perhaps like the European influence that kind of influenced the Beaux-Arts design work, et cetera, in the United States. And certainly the Chicago World's Fair did this. And it's kind of notable that Wallace Way was donated in 1902, I think it was, and also designed by H.M. Francis. And it was, a gift to the city to kind of beautify it, et cetera. And having it in this district as part of the educational district and being recognized by National Register in the future is really kind of a great thing. And along with B.F. Brown being resurrected, that other parts of our city can perhaps gain from this, and certainly the recognition of being part of a National Register district certainly helps these things and helps our community kind of understand its heritage and the value of our monuments and our physical assets that we have, our historic reminders and recorders of what things were like. So kind of understanding these little pieces and kind of allowing the community to understand it 100 years or so later. These are kind of great things. So we also just had an inquiry earlier this week from the great-great-grandson of one of the B.F. Brown relatives, or perhaps wondering, who lives in New Jersey, wondering about if we knew anything about B.F. Brown. And it was actually C.H. Brown, I think, which probably was his son or another relative of the Brown family, that I believe the school was named after. And the Brown Bag Filling Company building down that's being another national or tax credit down in the Morin Square project, where the apartments are being done down there also. So lots of good things come from your projects, like what you're doing. And I think the National Register nominations are and eventual districts are so powerful for people to take pride in what you guys are doing and putting together for the city's future. So.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, National Register nominations are good for honoring historic resources. I was just looking at the stairway, and there's a citation in the National Register nomination that the city appointed a committee in 1900 to consider beautifying the post office surroundings, which was the site chosen for the new U.S. Post Office at 100 Elm at Wallace Avenue and Elm Street. And it connected the high school with the library, which has since been demolished.
Yes, and I think the library is going through a major renovation again, updating, and the old county courthouse is soon to be, I believe, put on the market for restoration and preservation. which is again right down that alley or right across the street from the old post office. So these areas are obviously critical parts, very important parts of the development of the city that you all are making grand efforts in helping us as a historical commission. We're just kind of mouthpieces, but you guys are doing the actual work, and that is great. So.
Also, the libraries have always been the gift of the Wallace family, and first Mr. Wallace gave the original library, which was still standing when I was in school, and then Wallace Way, and I've also heard, I haven't had time to really research this, but the family was really interested in what was happening within that area. And we always called the stairway, the Wallace stairway, and I don't know if there's any information relative to the relationship to the Wallace family.
Lastly, Maureen, is it possible that we could get a draft copy of the nomination as it is now?
Definitely. Well, I shouldn't speak for Newview, but I'm guessing Newview will say yes. And if you read it and have comments on it, even though MHC's already commented on it once, I'm guessing they're going to come back with additional comments. So if you see anything you want added, or except for the art museum for now,
Yep.
Definitely let us know.
Okay, that would be great. There, if you want, on our website, the city website for the Historical Commission, my email is there, or I can send you just an email so you have a copy of it, and that would be great. We'd be happy to take a look. And
yeah, and you sent me an email, so I have your email.
Okay, great.
Keith, does that become a public document if we send it to you?
Actually, anything that's mentioned at our meetings becomes public document. So I'll leave that up to you if you want to share it that way or not.
Do not accept items or packages from unknown individuals.
Okay, we'll take it under advisement. I think we just, we just always want to know when we know we're on the record, and that's fine. We just want to make sure we don't have anything to hide, but we just really want to know whether we're, somebody may call us up about something that we said today, and we just want to be prepared to answer questions or things like that.
Sure.
Yep.
No, understood.
One thing I do have, could you, if you were in touch with somebody from the Brown family, if you could reach out to them, maybe we'd be interested in speaking to them too. So, at any rate, if they're interested in that, let me know. You could send me.
Okay. And I believe, Ellen, you actually attended BF Brown. I think Mark probably already knows this, but.
Same here.
Great.
All right.
We will definitely, as we move along, once we have a date for something, we'll definitely love to rally the BF alumni to come and attend and celebrate. And so we'll be working on that too.
Mark, some of us were there the day that you broke ground.
Right? You mean when we put on the roof, you mean?
Right.
Yes.
On the roof. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I know. It seems like such a long time ago now. I'm ready to get ready for the real thing.
Right. We'll have a real groundbreaking, and yeah, it'll be very exciting.
That's all terrific news, and we applaud your stick-to-itiveness and your great record for working with the city.
It's actually thrilling.
It's good to see you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person, but we'll look forward to connecting with you guys again.
Terrific. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, no. How do I get out of here? Here we go. Leave. Bye. Thanks.
Okay.
See a man about a horse.
Okay. Let me get back to our agenda. Not it.
Ask one more question before we move on.
Yes, you can.
Curious about our historic districts and how are those like founded or set up? Is it through the Mass Historic and the city or
Well, the city actually,
city starts it?
they start it, or a group starts it, and then goes to Mass Historic, and then, you know, eventually to Washington.
Almost like-
Washington would like have the final say.
Like maybe Parks Department even? Washington or
No, I don't know where, I don't know where they're located, but,
like a federal
it's a federal,
historic.
right.
Department. Okay.
Because, you know, Pittsburgh, it's the Pittsburgh Historical Commission, the Massachusetts Historical Commission, which is huge. And then.
Yeah, I think an individual can actually make a nomination to for National Register status on any building or district. And the process is that it generally goes to, I think it actually skips us as a local historical commission and goes to the state or the federal review period is looking for the state to review it first. And then it goes on for federal. So it is kind of a stopping point at the state. Mass Historical has a group of individuals that kind of review all of these and make comments and gets back to them, revised drafts, et cetera. And then once it receives approval, it then goes on to the National Park Service, I believe. Whether you can skip over the state level, I'm not sure, but I think it's generally required that the state does a buy into it also. Regarding the tax credits, they are two different entities. There are tax credits to the state revenue for state tax credit ability or tax credit eligibility, and there are federal level tax credit eligibility. So each project has to get approval of each one of those to, individually to get the financing package that New View was talking about. They're working with the different levels and when they were hoping to receive the allocation of the state tax credits, and then when they were going to get the allocation of the federal tax credits, which all become part of their financial portfolio to be able to do the project. So obviously they have levels of assurance to begin with their groundbreaking and going ahead with it, even though these finance pieces are ongoing as they process through it. Okay, moving on to update on historic building demolition delay. I don't know if we have any updates on that at the moment.
No updates at the moment.
Okay. Update on the appreciation and preservation of historic stone walls and structures. Item number.
The But in connection with that, the last time I talked about the beaver topography, and I'm been contacted by a student of mine who was a pilot, and we are planning to fly over the area. He's going to fly me over the area and look for where the beaver dams and where they are and where they may have been historically. So not directly related, but kind of indirectly related to the stone walls.
Indeed, the industry of the beaver. Yes. Okay, update on historic district information brochure, information guide, signage, website. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have our final version yet from our graphic designer. I will try to make contact in the next couple of days again. I had put an email out to her, and we are hoping to get those kind of final corrections for the final draft in all of our hands to take a last look at. So I will email out if I have any updates on that, and hopefully shortly. Okay, number 9, Wallace Building entry stones still temporarily stored at the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority space. I think no update on that. Item number 10, historic marker update. These are our house and site markers that we approve. We have contracted with Wass Arthur, our new sign maker. We have updated our website with the new brochure information, with the new price and information on the application of that. And we've notified a couple people that were kind of on the waiting list to that these new markers are available. It is showing on our website that we have the new brochure there. I will within hopefully this next week try to see if we can get maybe about 100 copies printed out that we can fold and distribute around the city, various spots. Do you think 100 is enough to start off with? I think that's what we did originally. I'll contact the city to see if we can get some color copies of this two-sided brochure done. And
I'm saying, excuse me. I heard the new head of the development department, Liz Murphy, talking. Well, I was at another meeting, and she was talking about the distribution of the CDBG funds, and there was $25,000 that they hadn't earmarked as yet. And if you'd like, I'll call her and find out if we could get on her list.
For both the markers and the and the brochure, sure.
Two questions. Those who had sent in their application for a historic marker previously, first is any update on whether they're going to be reimbursed by the family, and secondly, do those people have to reapply for the new company, or does that just carry over?
The first question is, when I spoke with one of the family members, I think it was 2 months ago, she said that those two parties that had the applications and checks cashed they're quite aware of it. They don't have the opportunity to have access to those funds as of yet, but they were indicating that I read their indication by late spring they would have those funds available and will reimburse those two different parties that were owed it. The second part of the question is that you'd have to reapply with a new application for a new marker. And if you know of anybody who is, you think, or is, somebody that has a building that you see and know of, let them know that you can access it on our website, or hopefully we'll have the paper ones available for everybody to hand out to your friends and neighbors also. So we are back on track with the markers, I think, except for the two payments that are due out there soon. Number 11, project to document and share Main Street building histories, historic districts, tax credit, and other restoration reuse incentives. I just let Ellen know earlier this week that we do have an update on the Upper Common Historic District draft application might be available in the near future, and that some of those descriptions might be found in there as a ready resource.
Yeah, as I said, the only one that I know is included is the School Street School, and that was designed by H.M. Francis. But I don't know. I can guess at the other buildings, but I really don't. I don't know. Yeah,
it's like, I'm guessing, but it's like 70 buildings. It's quite a large number in the district.
The building next to Peter Papadakis Gallery was previously a church, so I'm sure that's out of it.
Yes, I believe that was a Baptist church. I think, and I saw that list. So we should be getting that shortly. Ellen, let me know if you haven't heard from me on this, just in case you haven't. And I will try to bug ask nicely the people that are preparing the draft if we could get a copy. So. Okay. Number 12, we now have a vacancy on the commission, and city mayor's office has asked us if we have any recommendations that we could give the mayor for perhaps filling this position. I think I sent an email out with kind of a copy of the membership requirements that the ordinance that established the historical commission, kind of requirements and recommendations on what the membership needs to be and should be. I think we should be trying to follow that where possible. And if any of you have suggestions and knowledge of persons that would be valuable assets to the commission from those background areas, that would be great.
Well, did Megan fill a particular slot on those recommendations? The types of people to be on the commission?
Say that again, Don.
Well, I just wondered if she filled a particular slot of the type, like an attorney or a real estate person or a historian to be on the commission.
She did have previous experience with the Worcester Historic Commission. I don't know if that made a difference.
But as in our dual role as the district. What is it? District Commission? I don't know.
The ordinance,
Yes.
Yeah.
So it. Was she at large? We don't know.
I don't think it ever occurred to me. To ask her. About.
Okay, so we're just. Want someone. Okay, got it.
So I think, if there were kind of two categories. The first category was, I believe,
Architects.
it was, we have two architects. We have several members from the Historical Society kind of filling that slot. And in that first category, I believe a third category was a nomination of a selection from two people nominated by the local real estate association.
Ever had any involvement? I remember years ago, I tried to involve the realty group, and truthfully, they really weren't interested.
Yeah. Do you think it would be, there is still an association that's associated with Fitchburg.
Yes,
Do you think we should,
I can.
we should formally contact them and ask them to see if they would nominate two people?
I'll find out who the person in charge. I'll call a friend and get some information.
Yeah, I found it online, Ellen. They do have executive director, et cetera, and the board.
On Summer Street.
Yep.
I'll follow through on that.
Okay, let me know what you find out, and that certainly, if they have any recommendations, we could bring that forward, and it would be, following the intent of what the ordinance is. The secondary group of categories included, I don't have it up in front of me at the moment, but let me hang on just a second.
Historian.
Yep. And we have a historian. That would be Don.
Planning board.
A member from the planning board. What was there was a third one, I think, right?
Resident of or owner of property in the district. And a lawyer.
We never had a lawyer.
Right. A lawyer, professional historian, member of the planning board, and a resident or owner of the district. This can be waived and a substitute made if the number of residents or individual districts is small. And there are very few residents in the district. Somebody may be living in the Fay Club, I'm not sure.
No.
And yeah, I don't think our local historic includes any of the housing that's in some of the National Register district.
Well, the former Rome Insurance Building, just beyond us, they're condominiumizing stories, I understand. So maybe there might be somebody who moved in there who'd be interested.
Yep. So maybe for now, we could skip that. Maybe if we're looking either from somebody from the planning board, a lawyer, or someone from the real estate board. So maybe we have one position to fill. So any one of those three would be following the intent of the ordinance. So in the meantime, put your head to the thoughts. If you know of any locally involved attorneys, realtors, and planning board would be meeting the intent of the ordinance. And it certainly would be a great asset to the commission also. All right. We could contact the planning board or the chair of the planning board and see if there's if they would put out a.
I'll call Liz. I'm calling her about funding for the brochures and the signs, so I'll ask her at the same time.
Okay, very good. All right. Any other new business anyone would like to bring up? Hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled for 3 p.m. April 27th, next month. Same location. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm a little bit adjourn meeting.
I
second it.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you in April.